Susan Lisk married in 2001, Susan attempted to impose order in the house. Her stepson resented the new rules. Investigators who interviewed family friend Mark Gradell wrote in a report that Bill often called Mark to help if PJ caused problems. Bill would say, "Hey, come over, it's PJ." Or, "PJ is getting goofy." But on at least one occasion, Derek called Mark because PJ and Bill were physically fighting. Unconditional love. Despite the fights, Bill Lisk never gave up on his son. In February 2006, he filed for guardianship over PJ Lisk. According to court records, the 18-year-old had been hospitalized in 2007 for schizoaffective disorder, bipolar type. Mr. Lisk wants to protect William to get him the help that he needs. The guardianship application states he would eventually like to see him in a halfway house or a group home. When William is on his medication, he does really good. After a while, he will stop taking it because he thinks he is okay. Starts drinking, smoking pot. After BJ Lisk moved into the halfway house in Sandusky, Bill Lisk visited often. The week before the murders, Gradell told investigators Bill Lisk took some vacation time and went deer hunting with his son. They went to the family's hunting cabin in Carroll County and returned home to Ottawa County less than 24 hours before the murders. Gradell said he had serious talks with Bill Lisk on a few occasions about the family's safety being jeopardized by BJ Lisk. Neighbors suspected the younger Lisk of killing and torturing their pets. The Gradell's dog was shot twice with .22 caliber bullets. But Bill Lisk would tell Gradell, "BJ won't hurt us," investigators wrote. Mark said it was a hard conversation to have because BJ was Bill's only son and Bill would never see the bad even though Bill had received physical injuries from BJ, investigators wrote. Now, the massacre. After Bill Lisk and his son returned home from hunting that Saturday before Halloween, they got together for a few beers with friends. Gradell, who was at the gathering, told investigators everyone had a good time. He didn't see Derek Griffin, found